Hello everyone! Welcome to the last installment to Whumptober, this time with KuguInuShiba, as a direct continuation of the falling of the cliff story point, so don't be surprised they are all injured. Yeah, just review the storyline if you are confused about certain points. As always, special thanks to my lovely patrons and all of you who subscribe and watch these videos. You're keeping this channel alive and going. Thank you very much, and I hope you will enjoy. The days following his and Inoka's respective release from hospital were difficult. Shibayama still had to be careful with his movements and breathing. Inoka had to rest and sleep a lot to recover from his head injury, and Kuguri was forbidden to walk further than the kitchen or bathroom. He wished he could help, but whenever he tried to do anything, Shibayama was on his case, pushing him back into the chair or any other surface he was closest to. "You walked on that leg enough, don't you dare to repeat it," he always said. It was strange to be cared for to that degree, something Kuguri knew only from the 1 year in high school when Dasho and Numai were still present. However, his gratitude didn't outweigh his guilt from not helping his boyfriends. "I can take care of the dishes. I won't be walking during that, I promise." Shibayama sighed, the little veins around his eyes stinging deep in Kuguri's chest. "It's not about walking now. I know you too well to know you would stand on it. I won't let you hurt yourself again." "But..." "Now, no!" He crossed the distance between them surprisingly fast for someone who still had cracked ribs and cupped Kuguri's cheeks, squishing them a bit. "You almost lost that leg. I don't understand how you managed the pain for so long, but I won't let you continue in that, understood?" "Yuki, promise me you'll be careful with yourself." Kuguri flinched, startled by the despair in Shibayama's voice. His breath stuttered, the shock over the sudden increase of care rendering him unable to spin a coherent thought for a moment. Not that he didn't know his boyfriends cared for him. The whole misadventure on their trip was a clear proof they did. But this was... so much. Okay, I'll be careful." "Promise?" "I promise." Shibayama's face softened, the gentle touch of his lips against Kuguri's sending pleasant shivers down Kuguri's spine. Everything was so gentle with Shibayama since his failed birthday celebration, and Kuguri wasn't sure what to do with all the feelings it brought up inside of him. It was all so new, so strong it chased tears into his eyes sometimes. He tried his hardest to hide them with long practice skills, but occasionally even that wasn't enough. Like right now. "Oh, come on, Yuki, you made him cry." They turned to Inoka, who, despite looking rather sleepy, smiled brighter than in the last week and made his way to them to wrap them both in a hug. "I'm sure those were good tears, right?" "I suppose." He no less than melted into the double embrace, only careful not to squeeze Shibayama too much to not hurt him. It was in moments like this when believing he could share life with someone who cared at least as much as him was easier. That his wish had actually come true. It was still dark outside when he woke up shivering and drenched in cold sweat, and yet his skin felt like it was lit on fire. Breathing was difficult, much more than it should be, the heat coming from within his body as if scorching even the few atoms of oxygen he managed to breathe in. Barely able to move, he rolled over to his back, pain shooting through his leg when his ankle moved a bit too harshly, his shaky breath coming out more as a whine he didn't manage to catch. "No!" He barely registered the voice calling his name when the cool hands cupped his cheeks, followed by soft light appearing around that revealed Inuoka's worried face above him. "You're burning up. What's wrong?" "So, that's a stupid question." Shibama appeared in Kuguri's vision like a blurred blob, the sight making him shiver more violently. "It's fine. No, you aren't. I could burn my head on your forehead." Kuguri's chest constricted, panic squeezing him in his grasp. There was no way they would believe him he was fine when he couldn't even speak clearly. He had to push against it, hide the pain, make sure no one knew how much it hurt. He couldn't be a burden anymore. The gentle hand on his cheek turned his head back to Inuoka, his voice getting caught in his throat. "I swear I'm fine. It's going to go away in the morning. You'll see." "Shush. Stop talking, okay?" Despite not sounding angry at all, the words felt like a crack of a whip against Kuguri's ears. Memories he would rather forget flooded his mind, reminding him of what happened when he let himself be vulnerable, and how easily words could hurt more than any physical pain he had experienced. "Sorry." He gasped for air, the sob getting caught in his already tightened throat. He gripped Inuoka's hand, pushing his limits to sit up despite his head spinning like crazy and tears entering his eyes. "I won't be a burden, I swear. You don't have to. I'm fine. I swear." Every next word was more difficult than the previous one to say, his hands trembling and eyes failing him. He wasn't convincing at all. He knew that. But he had to try. He couldn't risk losing the only safe space he had to do the same thing as before. Not again. Shibama's voice sounded hollow in his ears, so much he couldn't distinguish the words, which sent him spiraling down even faster. His heart pounded in his ears, replacing every other sound. And then, as if all weight was suddenly lifted from his head and body, turning him into a rag doll. Shibama couldn't recall ever calling anyone so fast as he now called the ambulance. Kuguri getting such a high fever all of a sudden would be a warning sign even under normal circumstances, but considering he just overcame a pretty serious infection, any increase of temperature was alarming. And this was much more than just an increase. His heart hammered into his aching ribs as they raced to the hospital, trying to make sense of what Kuguri blabbered in his clearly delirious state, while also holding him down to prevent him from hurting himself again. Seeing his boyfriend like this, with sweat clinging to his scorching skin, unfocused eyes and chest heaving heavily, hurt like nothing physical he had ever experienced. Not even talking about the other terrifying aspects of the fever, like another potential infection. "Please, just not that. Please, he suffered enough already." He couldn't help but bounce his leg the whole ride, even now as they sat by Kuguri's hospital bed waiting for the results of the test to know how dangerous the fever was, almost biting on his nails while keeping an eye on Kuguri's chest to check his breathing. It was ragged and too shallow for his liking, but at least he was breathing. "Is there anything we can do in the meantime? Like get some wet cloth or something?" Shibama sighed softly. It seemed that Inoka wasn't doing much better, and he couldn't really blame him. We probably shouldn't do anything until the doctors tell us. With a defeated expression, Inoka slumped on the other chair and dragged his fingers through his hair. What's going on? He was fine in the evening and now... And I bet he wouldn't even tell us if you didn't wake up. Yeah. I thought we were doing good, but it seems like it's still the same. It has to be because of those bastards he dated before, right? They convinced him he's a burden if he lets on pain. It had to be them. Shibama had to agree with that conclusion. Who else could drag Kuguri down so much he couldn't even admit when he was hurt or sick? He couldn't imagine anyone else than the ones who had no issue breaking Kuguri's heart and spirit could be so cruel to do so, and the more fury boiled in his chest. How even dared they? How dared they hurt the most precious person he knew like this, forcing him to hide his feelings, emotions, and pain? He startled when Kuguri suddenly whined loudly, his hands clenching the blanket. Both him and Inoka rushed to his side, but despite his eyes being open, Shibama doubted he saw them. No. I swear I'm telling the truth. It hurts. I'm not overreacting. No, can you hear me? It's okay, I swear it hurts. Please. Why don't you believe me? He then looked straight at Shibama, his eyes wide and pooling with tears already rolling down his cheeks on the pillow. I'm not just acting up, but it hurts. Shibama's heart shattered, his own vision hazing when the realization of who Kuguri saw instead of them hit him. He glanced at Inoka, who, judging by his broken expression, came to the same conclusion, the two of them sharing a silent look of worry. Even his parents didn't believe him. He squeezed Kuguri's hand, trying to pitch his voice a bit higher before speaking softly to him. It's all right, darling. It hurts. Everything. I know it hurts. I believe you. I know you wouldn't lie to me. A hitched sob tore from Kuguri's throat, more tears soaking the pillow. I never lied. Why does no one believe me? I do. I believe you. Just close your eyes now, alright? Everything will be fine, I promise. Please help me. We will, I swear. But you need to rest now. Please, darling, don't exert yourself. Kuguri's eyes darted to Inoka briefly, before coming back to Shibama. And then, finally, his body relaxed into the mattress somewhat, no longer drawn tight like a bowstring, but trembling now. Shibama leaned over him to kiss his forehead, still feeling the heat seeping from Kuguri's skin. Rest now. The eyes bluer than a clear sky fluttered close at that as if charmed, the trembling soon replaced by shuddered breaths. Holding his own tears back, Shibama settled back into the chair, his own hands shaking a bit. Even his parents. Why? Why wouldn't they believe their own child was in pain? It's just getting worse, isn't it? He's going to be fine. No, I mean the other stuff. That Shibama couldn't dispute. Every new discovery about Kuguri's past broke their hearts all over again. At this point, It looked like the only ones who actually cared about him before he joined their relationship were Nohebe's captain and their ace. No wonder nothing they did seemed to help in the long run. Knowing that infused the still present guilt in Shibayama's heart over all the instances when he snapped at his boyfriend, and when he too probably added to the anxiety haunting Kuguri's mind. The cooking incident, the failed birthday, everything. There was a soft knock on the door before a doctor and a nurse let themselves in, nodding at them in greeting. Inoka jumped up immediately, his head visibly spinning from the sudden movement before he managed to stabilize himself.
What's wrong with him? It's just a bad fever, alright? Please say that it's the case,
Please settle down. If I recall, you are still in no condition to stress yourself so much. Inoka bit on his lip but stayed standing, his eyes darting to Kuguri, then Shibayama and back to the doctor. Shibayama followed suit and stood up too, still holding onto Kuguri's hand, however.
I'm sorry, but we are worried about him. He's precious to us. He was here with infection recently and...
The doctor's face softened. I know. I apologize if I sounded harsh. I'm not sure if I bring the news you are hoping for, but I can assure you the fever isn't the result of an infection, a returning or a new one. However, we still don't know what exactly caused his temperature to spike so rapidly.
It might not have been as rapid as we thought.
He sighed, giving Kuguri a glance Shibayama could only describe as heartbroken.
He has a habit of hiding his sickness and pain from us. Maybe he was already feeling unwell before.
I see. Yes, the previous medical records mention possible high pain tolerance in his case. That might have played a role this time too. Nodding, the doctor made a note in the card and then motioned to them to follow him while the nurse tended to the drip she rolled in. Shibayama followed with a heavy heart, only reluctantly leaving Kuguri's side from fear of what could happen while they were gone, but he trusted the professionals to recognize if something was wrong.
You really have no idea what could cause this?
Unfortunately, not yet. We'll run some more tests that will hopefully give us a definitive answer. For now, we will focus on supplying him with liquids and on trying to lower his temperature under the dangerous level.
Can we help somehow?
By staying with him. I'm sure seeing someone dear to you delirious isn't a pretty experience, but presence of loved ones is proven to help with recovery. He's probably just as confused as you are right now, so seeing you there with him might prevent some highly stressful situation for both him and our staff.
Alright, we understand.
The doctor gave both of them a reassuring smile. I'm sure we will find the cause soon. Until then, please try to stay calm and don't forget to take care of yourself too. With that, he motioned for them to the door and left, leaving them with just their thoughts and each other's presence to lean on, which was exactly what Shibayama did. Inoka understood and wrapped his arm around his shoulders, letting out a deep sigh.
It's going to be fine. He has to be fine.
Yeah. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. So by this part we are concluding Whumptober. I think it was pretty successful, I would say. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed the whole, I don't want to say series because it was 3 videos, but still, I hope you enjoyed Whumptober. And we are getting into Angsttober, which is going to be pretty much Angstober as in October, but in November. Yeah, new challenges are coming, angsty challenges are coming, and maybe some one-shots, I'm not entirely sure yet. We will see. If you have any requests or ideas, the request form is linked in the video description. See you next time.